Hey y'all, welcome to Spirit Tea Talks podcast with your spiritual big sis, Sin from Divine Hoops. Join me to spill the hottest spiritual tea about co-creation, Santa Muerte, reading, spells, numerology, and everything else that you can think of. I'm here to inspire you and help y'all tap into your most authentic and divine self. So join me in this walk of life and know that you are not alone in this healing community. Can't wait to laugh and cry with y'all. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and answer any poll questions at the end of each episode. It truly does help me by y'all rating this podcast in whatever platform you use. To be in the know for any group rituals, tarot specials, follow me on IG Divine Hoops and also divinehoops.com. We also started our book club called Story Healing Sorority that you can follow now on IG. For more insight behind the scenes and longer episodes, make sure to join my Patreon. See y'all soon. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Divine Hoops. Welcome back to Spirit Tea Talks podcast, where we get into our spirituality, the journeys, the struggles, and everything else in between. I haven't been here in a minute, but that's because I've been putting everything into my website, www.divinehoops.com, and just been rebranding and branching out and doing a lot more for y'all, really. So I haven't had the time to really sit down and just relax or really just kind of sit down and talk to y'all. So I'm here, I'm back, and I'm better. So was really good. I'm not too sure exactly what I want to get into today. But definitely in the midst of discussing of healing and Santa Muerte, because those are the biggest things that have been on my mind heavy these past 2 weeks. And of course, with the transition that I'm going through, and I feel like a lot of us are just going through a lot of different transitions where we're just trying to figure shit out. There's nothing wrong with that. I just had a therapy session. Me and Zaida's dad, we went back to our couple sessions and we kind of discussed everything that has been happening, and just I needed that more than anything, and I knew that I needed that once everything hit the fan. I know that I needed therapy right off the gate to get that shit off my chest. And I believe, quite honestly, that everybody, and I've talked about it openly, that everybody needs therapy, okay? Everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs a professional to delve into their head and really put things into perspective, because it's very useful, and especially when you're in the midst of your spirituality. It may not be for everybody, which is fine, but I really believe if you're delving into your spirituality, one way to really look into the shadow face of your life and the inner child healing is by going to a therapist who just guides you, because you can't do this shit alone, okay? Even when you have your mentors, there's still things that you need to be taking into a deeper level. So having this session with her, it helped me put things out there. I'm a type of person that if I'm feeling a certain way, I need to express it. I'm very in tune with my feelings. I know what I'm feeling during this time. And sometimes all I need is to just vent. It's just to put it out there. You know what I mean? And as an empath, I think a lot of us need that. And reassurance more than anything, especially when we deal with anxiety. Something that she had mentioned, and I didn't have a word for it before, or a word for it or meaning behind it. while I was talking about like my experiences and like the heartache and the pain that I've been enduring these past couple of months, she just straight up said, like, you have PTSD, and that is fine. Like, we're gonna work through it. And it fucking hit me like a ton of bricks, okay? Because I don't know, maybe it's just my ignorance, my lack of knowledge. I thought PTSD was, we mostly hear it from like people that have gone to war and they come back with PTSD. That shit is very much real. I didn't think that having trust issues or a fear of doing something, and I'm pretty sure it goes more into depth. I'm still learning about it myself, just because that was the first time I've ever heard it being told to me. So it took me by surprise hearing it, and I just broke down because I felt seen and understood for the first time in a long time. And now that I knew that, like, okay, I have PTSD from my last relationships and my current situation with my baby's father, and like the car accidents that I've been in, and like I always thought it was just like fear of something, but putting it now into a bigger perspective of like, no, it's PTSD, like everything that like I've been experiencing. And I've just been wondering, like, how many of us really carry that PTSD and we're so not aware of it. We're not it's not like that we're giving it power, but we're not giving it a definition so we can start that healing process, because not knowing what it is that's causing these traumas, these panic attacks, these intrusive thoughts, it could be even more painful than the actual thoughts, the actual pain. It's the fear and the pain of not knowing what is causing all of this and how to navigate it. Okay, I think we're going a little too deep too fast. But that's really what's been heavy on my mind. And when I'm not working, I need to keep my mind busy. And I'm realizing, because I've been taught to do this since I was a young girl, that like whenever you're sad, you gotta work, or you gotta work out, or you gotta do this and you gotta do that. You can't let yourself feel. You just kind of have to keep going. And this time around, going through this transition, I realized, like when my mom was telling me, like, you need to just keep busy. And the busier that I got, the sadder I would get. And I started to realize, like, that doesn't work for me. Like, it just doesn't work for me. And the moment that I started to let myself feel and not be so fucking busy with other shit, I was able to kind of like think for myself, do for myself, be for myself, instead of doing it for others, pleasing others, and validating what I was going through. And then that gave me the chance to rebrand my business, come up with more creative ideas of what I need to do, because I took some time, and I'm not gonna say all the time, like I didn't step out for like months in advance, but I did take some time to let myself feel, let myself cry, let myself, fill in this rut and grieve a loss of someone that I love so dearly, and a loss of like my life, what it used to be. And it still comes in waves. I'm just so thankful that like now we're back in therapy, and I'm able to get more guidance from a professional instead of, I love my friends, but it's the blind leading the blind. You feel me? Like, my friends are in the same age group as me. They're not married. I have, a couple that do have kids and stuff, but like they're not together with the baby father. They don't have their own like spiritual alignment that we're just in different paths in our lives, and that is fine. And I've came into acceptance of that a while back, but it's difficult to try to be seen and validated when your support team is not so understanding of what you do for a living or what you're going through. And it's just because, again, the blind leading the blind. And that's why I always tell people, like, and especially my clients, is when it comes to like any love situation, like, go to therapy, go to marriage counseling, go to couples therapy, whatever it is, go to therapy. It's just better that way, instead of like trying to go to friends. And there is some friends that you may have that are married, that are successful in their marriages, that have been through it all. So it's different at that point. You can go to them for advice, but you shouldn't rely on just your friendships. You should go to a professional to guide you through all of that. I say all of this, and excuse Ida, goddamn. I say all of this because it's helped me feel validated in my feelings and not be so fuck him, fuck that, and do better, better. And I mentioned it before, like I was in that mindset for a good like 3 weeks to a month, and I was just like, this is exhausting. Like, how the fuck do people do this all the time and have this bitter mindset? And some people may not see it as bitter. Some people may see it as like, I'm standing my ground, I'm putting my boundaries, I know my worth. And I think there's a thin line between knowing your worth and being bitter. That yes, there's some circumstances that shouldn't have been crossed in my personal situation. There should have been some better leadway, but I don't know. To me, it's just like it takes two to make a chaos. And not to justify anything that I had to go through, never, ever, ever, ever. But I like to take accountability for my actions, and I think it's because it's been so implemented in my life to really take a look at myself before I try to point fingers at other people. And sometimes even that, like, I have my faults in that. But it was just exhausting. So having the chance to go to somebody who's not biased and situation that you need healing from, and you need compassion, and you need to be heard, and you need to be validated, it just changes your whole journey. And that's why I say that, like, yes, going to a therapist is extremely helpful and it's extremely needed, because you can't do this shit alone, especially when it comes to navigating your healing process. Okay, I'm back, y'all. But as I was saying, I really do believe that we all need guidance in some shape or form, because it's just needed. And like I was mentioning, there is a thin line between, putting boundaries and just being bitter. And the more that like I'm going through my situation, I'm seeing the difference. And it's not to say that I have a particular person in mind or a particular situation. It's just how I personally see it. If you're constantly in the midst of I don't know, like not being forgiven and not, I don't know how to really put it. Maybe I'll come back. I'll come back to that, because everybody has their different way of expressing how they can be supportive, or they can be, letting shit slide. It differs from people. And for that, like, I have no say in that. And I think I'm just rambling, trying to figure out the words that I'm trying to really fucking say. But this is why I love my podcast, because I just talk and hope it makes sense, and some of you can resonate to what I'm trying to say. So with that being said, right? Healing is so fucking ugly, and we've talked about this before, and a lot of us know this. The healing is not just fucking crystals and rainbows and meditation and sitting by the beach closing our eyes. Like, it's just so much more than that. And I think I'm going through a whole different transition when it comes to healing, and I needed this to happen. And I keep saying that because there is I'm about to turn 29. This is where your Saturn returns, and I've already seen that I'm not too great when it comes to astrology. I'm definitely going to get better by the end of this year. That is my goal. But my degree that I have sits in my Scorpio house, my Pluto house, and my Pluto is in Scorpio as well. So when I was learning astrology during this time and I was taking classes, it was saying and signifying that this degree signifies like death or rebirth. And for it to be in my Pluto line and also Scorpio falling into its own house, like, for me, I was terrified. I believed that, like, I'm either gonna die, I'm gonna pass to another realm during this year, or I'm going through a whole different transition and a whole different rebirth. So we'll get back to that at the end of this year and see how that shit goes and how that shit played out, if God lets me, But I can already see that rebirth transformation hit me like a ton of bricks in the beginning of January. Not even 2 weeks into January, and I had a whole transformation and a whole rebirth. Every month since then has been nothing but transformation. Whether it's the way that I think, whether that's the way that I work, whether that's the way that I start to do things with my daughter, even my own physical appearance, like my way of loving, my way of just going about life. I feel like I've just been trying to figure it out. I feel like a fucking newborn trying to figure out how to fucking navigate life. I feel like I just graduated high school trying to fucking figure out what the fuck am I gonna do with my life. That's more what it feels like, honestly. It's just feeling like I finished a chapter in my life that needed to be finished, and now I gotta figure out the next chapter that's ahead. And how do I do that without regressing? How do I know that I'm doing the right thing? How do I know that, like, what I really want to do and accomplish is not going to be the wrong thing? How do I know that, like, this rebrand for my business is actually going to be something more insightful, something more stable? How do I know? And I think a lot of us get stuck in that that mindset of, like, how do you know? How do we know, like, that I'm doing the right thing? How do I know that I'm on the right track? Even here and now, not so much that I question anymore, like, am I doing the right thing? I mean, it comes and it goes, but not so often. Now I'm thinking of, like, how do I do it? What else do I need? Is there anything else I need to get done? Yes, there is. Okay. Will my anxiety allow that? for me. No, it won't. It will allow you to do this much and this much. Okay, how long will that be? And for me, I'm a very impatient fucking person. I want things done as soon as I snap my fucking fingers. I'm very impatient. I feel like I need everything right there and then. I'm very impulsive, and I talked about that, and I am catching myself when I'm having this impulsiveness of like, I need to find my own apartment with my daughter. I need to fix my car. I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to send out orders. I need to do more orders, or like, like I start to put myself in this fucking hole where it's just like there's just too much happening right now in my head, and I need to silence it and just go with it. And I'm getting better at it, but it will definitely help once you have a safe place where you feel like you can do everything and then some. Because even right now, like, yes, I'm in a safe space, but not completely spiritually. I went back into being like a closeted witch where I'm at. And I think I honestly feel like that is one of the hardest transitions that I have to make, is that like I have to be a closeted witch yet again. Once I was embracing it, once I had a beautiful, huge altar for mi Santísima Muerte, and then, praising my ancestors and just being in this blissful state of mind. And so it's been fucking hard. I mean, I'm still getting shit done. I'm still working. I'm still making things happen, not only for myself but for others, and that's what keeps me fucking going, quite fucking honestly. And with the little bit of I do have, it's making me amplify my magic and my efforts and my power, because I had a whole house to work with. I had unlimited supplies and was able to just showcase and do, and now I have to work with what I got. And more than anything, I feel more in touch with my ancestors, and I've been getting more messages on how to navigate things with what I do have, because I gotta work with what I got. And a lot of our ancestors had to do the same thing, and not only that, but having Santísima Muerte with me at all times has been exceptionally so beautiful, and just I can't even describe like her energy and just her way of being. And I just miss my altar. More than anything, that was my biggest thing, was my altar. And I miss that a lot. I miss seeing her every morning and adding more to it, talking to Asria, like what else to add to the altar, and just really making a name for her, for myself, and to show her off the way that I was showing her off before. And it's been hard, but it's definitely been a life-changing experience, and I just wish people would understand her energy and her presence and not feel scared of loving this beautiful spirit. And I think from everything that I've been hurting from, like I've mentioned, is, having to go back to like a closeted witch where I'm at currently. So that's why I'm pushing through to manifest this living situation to change, and I can feel that I will in no time, because I haven't given up. And I know that Madrina sees the efforts that come about it. So it's a blessing in disguise, everything that like it's happening, but it's just the moment being, and especially when anybody is going through a hard situation, it's hard to think it's a blessing. But I know this is going to help me in every single aspect. I just gotta remind myself and not be this toxic positive person, but definitely trust the universe, and more than anything, trust Santa Muerte and what she has in store. When I was actively on TikTok and trying to post about Madrina, I stopped because I started to realize that, like, you can't argue with stupid, and you can't argue with ignorance, and there's no point in arguing or trying to convince people otherwise. You just kind of have to guide those who want to be guided, and those who are genuinely curious and genuinely want to work with her to come to you, instead of always being bashed on and well, she's not this and she's not that, and she does this and she does the other. And at some point you just kind of get tired, and you're just like, if you don't understand her, then that means you don't understand me, and there's no point of me arguing with stupid. So I had left that shit alone on TikTok, and even now when I go on it, I see people that I follow that are amazing devotees to Santa Muerte, and they put a good word out for her. See them in a battle against other devotees. I don't know, there's just some bullshit been going on since like October, and it's still going. Apparently I just keep to myself. At some point, like, you just kind of have to let people do their shit and just stay in your own lane, and that's just kind of what I've been doing. And I say all of that because my family, especially my mom and her husband, are super old school, super close-minded, carry a lot of traumas from their childhood, and it's very apparent, especially from somebody that's been constantly has been doing work and can see generational traumas being carried. So the moment that I've been spending more time with them and seeing how they are, and just you start to realize, like, wow, like I have certain aspects that I am trying to heal from because my mom does X, Y, and Z, and I think that's a really hard pill to swallow, and I don't think we talk about it enough, of like seeing our parents pass along certain characteristics that we're trying to heal from. And the moment that we start to realize, like, I don't want to be like you, I'm trying to be better, I'm trying to heal, and not to like bash them in any sort of way, but like coming to realization that like that just doesn't work for me. So I might get a little personal here, all right? So bear with me. And this is going to go back around to Santa Muerte. My mother and I haven't had like an actual real connection, real mother-daughter bond. My mom had been driven by her career and to always stay busy. And it wasn't until recently that I realized that my grandma implanted that in her head, that if you're not going to school, if you don't have a full-time job, you're not making it. This also comes from this how do you call it? The mindset of like growing up in Mexico and not having a lot. Okay, so the only way that you were able to make it out of anywhere was if you had an education, was if you had a full-time job, and was if you followed your career, because your career was going to take you places. So all of my family has bachelor's and master's in some sort of field, you know. There's 4 engineers in our family, and 2 teachers, and I don't remember what my other aunt does, but they got their degrees, and my uncles are very, very successful in what they do in every aspect of their life, you know what I mean? My mom has been driven with teaching, so that's just been her passion for forever. Or maybe she was forced into it from my grandma. Don't know that story quite yet. So when she had me, she was, I think, almost done with college. So I used to go to college with her. I still remember these memories of me going to college with her, going to school with her, like meeting her professors, meeting her, like, her friends and stuff, seeing my young mom in the 90s, you know, everybody, like, I remember those memories very clear as day. Her being the captain of her basketball team, being the captain of the volleyball team. So my mom was very driven. I get the ambition from her, for fucking sure. But she was also a hopeless romantic. Searched for a man, looked for a man to make a family. From my point of view, you know, my mom and I never discussed this. It's a very sensitive subject for her. She's not able to even talk about real emotional things without her getting defensive. And it didn't really get us anywhere, because I always felt left out as a child, because my mom was searching for a missing piece in her life. And for me, I would always tell her, like, you're not missing anything, like, you have me, like, how am I not enough? So for the longest time, I always felt like I wasn't enough for my mom, and then it stemmed from, you know, trauma. So now healing those things, because even now, or back, maybe not now, but not too long ago, like, I would feel like I was not enough for people that would say that loved me. So then I would criticize them. I would be rude. I would be brutal. I would be having a condescending tone. I would be demanding. And I started to realize my mother's like that. My mother's very much like, if you don't give me what I want, then you don't really love me. Or, like, you're not listening to me, so I'm gonna be rude as fuck to you. Or, like, if I have questions to ask, you better answer me. Or, like, if I have speculations, I'm gonna still ask you to be nice, but I'm not gonna ask you in the very best way possible, if that makes any sense. And I carried those traits. And she would tell me, like, you know, for the longest time, I would tell her, like, you shouldn't talk to your children like that. Like, you make me and my brother anxious. Like, that's not a way to be. And I love my mom. I love my mom from a very afar, from very, like, a distant place. And I think a lot of us can relate to, like, our parents, you know, because there's comes to a time where you come to terms that, like, they're just not going to change. They're not going to understand you. So it's best to just have a relationship from afar. And unfortunately, because of that, like, she wasn't able to spend much time with my daughter. She didn't really make efforts to be a grandma, because in her head, like, she was too young to be a grandma, and other reasons that I really don't even fucking know. So I say all of that, and I got a little personal in there, because I want y'all to know that, like, all of us go through some sort of fucking situation in our families, and we may feel guilty, and we may feel like, how do we go from here? And honestly, it's just saying, like, I I love you, but I don't want to be like you. You know, like, you did what you had to do for me. Now I got to do what I got to do for my daughter. And then it's not, or for my, you know, my son, my children. And it's not going to be what you want me to do, because that's just not where I am in life. And that's not what I want to go about. Like, right now, my family's thing is like, you don't have a full-time job. How do you expect to take care of your daughter? And it, to me, is just like, it sucks that you guys are still in this slave mentality of like, having a 9-to-5 is the way to go. Having a job that you hate, it's having an actual job. But you're just stuck in this like slave mindset. And I've been past that. I've had my badass jobs, my badass 9-to-5 that, you know, paid me great benefits, that did a lot for like the company and whatever the fuck. But I was so fucking unhappy. There was a time in my life when I started my spiritual journey, like really delve into it, about 5-6 years ago, where I had my own apartment, my own car. I was able to go out to dinners. I was paying a lot of shit for myself. I was single. I was thriving. And I was depressed. That's when I knew that something was fucking wrong. Because why is it that I have a multitude of things that my family claims that that's success and that brings happiness? But that was the moment that I started to feel really depressed. And that's when I started to really dig in deep and realized this ain't for me. I'm meant to do something bigger. I'm meant for something else. Then it's true, because now what I do, I'm able to help other people, and because I help others, I help myself. I tried to explain this to my mama's husband, right, just today, because there was a conversation that needed to happen, whatever the fucking case may be, right? And I told him, like, I appreciate like y'all's help and everything else, but I can't be myself with you guys because you guys are not accepting of my beliefs, which is Santa Muerte. I still pray to God. I still read Bible verses to manifest things, to do candle work, to help other people. I do healing work, but for them, that's unacceptable. That's weird, at least for him. And one thing that he told me that I'm really fucking bothered was, we may have some things in common in our beliefs. What you believe is beautiful. You have your faith, so do I. But my beliefs are not for sale. Meaning that, like, what I'm doing is basically like just selling my beliefs. Selling this idea of healing and prayer or whatever. And that bothers me, because it's just like, if only you knew how much the church takes from people, and you don't ever see that money go back to the community. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's hard, y'all, when you are starting from the ground up and you want to shout to the world, you know, that Santa Muerte is not this evil entity that people make it out to be, but like I said, you can't argue with ignorance and you can't argue with stupidity. So unfortunately, I won't be able to actually have a sit down with my mom or my mom's husband about it, so I can feel more at peace doing what I do or embracing it, and that's fine. And I want y'all to know that, like, you don't have to convince anybody in your beliefs or feel like you gotta put up a fight. If you know in your heart what is working for you and what is being your livelihood, there's no reason else. You can speak your truth, you can speak your peace, and then call it a fucking day and then move on. This healing journey, transformation, whatever you might want to call it, whatever you may be going through, it's beneficial. And it's going to have a long-term effect. Break those generational curses. Break that generational trauma. I know and for certain that like I am very grateful for my family for helping my daughter put a roof over our heads in the meantime, for, you know, more than anything being there for my daughter. But at the end of the day, they're going to say like, find a babysitter. We're not babysitting. Find a full-time job. Your business is not a legitimate business. Put your feet on the ground. You're always being impulsive and you're not thinking with an actual plan. You're just doing. And a lot of us in this generation, at least, we can say very proudly, and when we do shit impulsively, sometimes when it comes from our heart, when we're just like, fuck it, I just want to move, or I want to do this, and I'm gonna make the means, we make that shit happen. This old generation has been established with this mindset of you having to have a 10-year goal in order for you to fucking get established. And it may work for them, but it ain't working for us. And when it comes to healing, don't let your friends put you out thinking that being bitter is better, because it's not. It's really not. And if you wholeheartedly feel like this group of people that supposed to be your support system won't be able to support you, or just halfway support you, it's time to find a new group of people, a new group support system. Starting fresh is scary, but it's needed. We just experienced our new year, our astrological new year, March 20th. So y'all are going to start experiencing a lot of people leaving your life and a lot of new things coming about. This is officially the actual new year, and things are about to start getting a huge kickoff. So I hope I made sense. I think this was a little bit long podcast, but I hope it made sense. I feel like I was just venting to a friend more than anything. And yeah, I hope everything else kind of comes together. I am doing a 4x4 burn April 4th, which this means that I will be doing 4 rituals for 4 weeks. It's all on my website. If you go to group rituals, that's gonna fucking help. I'm doing a road opener, a fast luck and love. I'm also doing protection and prosperity. So the main things that we need to focus on to, you know, bring in this new year with open arms and let everything else take over. Of course, group rituals are happening all the time on my website, and specials and sales for candles and everything else also on divinehoops.com. Please don't get lazy on me and y'all expect me to fucking walk you through my website. I'm not about to fucking do that no more. I did it too many times with too many people, like, oh, I can't find this, I can't find that. Y'all ain't asking fucking Bossy Bruja how to fucking navigate her website, and she just recently changed it. And I'm not expecting you guys for you to hope that I hold your hand. If you want spiritual guidance and you want your life to change, you shouldn't expect somebody to fucking hold your hand. You should be able to navigate and fucking read. I needed to get off my chest, because this past week has been nothing but people saying, oh, I can't find this, or oh, is there still spots left? If you see it and you read it, you'll figure it out. Unless there's like something missing, or a tweak in the website, which I have had people, you know, give me a heads up, and that I appreciate. I don't appreciate y'all like asking me like, where's this, where's that, when I made my website super fucking easy to navigate, y'all. Like, everything is on there. And Yes, my baby. But yeah, so everything is on divinehoops.com, and if you go on my Instagram, I have a link tree where like I'm basically putting everything out there to make it even more easier for y'all, like all my group rituals, my tarot scopes, my tip jar, my podcast, my YouTube, any specials that I have going on. But of course, there's so much more on the website itself, so I don't want y'all to get too used to like, oh, everything's gonna be on Linktree. No, not everything's gonna be on Linktree, but definitely look into it. And if you guys have anybody that's looking for a website to be made, well, I was rudely interrupted. Anyways, if you guys know that somebody that wants a website, needs help with anything of that sort, hit me up. I'm open for it. Now that my website is fully the way that I want it. So with that being said, I hope to see you guys on my rituals, any custom work, and then my readings. And hopefully you guys place an order for any candles, prosperity rice, and everything else. So hasta luego.